Something about this tell-all doesn't add up. Why is TLC protecting Cody and Robyn, while the women who suffered are silenced? Today, we're diving into the truth behind Meri and Robyn's fractured relationship, and the manipulation that the cameras don't want you to see. Hello guys! I am Arya, and welcome back to TLC Vibes. Today, we're going to dive deep into the explosive and rocky relationship of Robyn and Meri that has been taking center stage in the new episode of The Sister Wives. Tell all before that, let's be real with each other. Something was on my mind. Recently, my Part 2 Tell All videos aren't performing as well as they ought to be. And that is abnormal, and has me wondering if people are just bored with the show. I have to admit, however, that I am sick of it too. It is maddening because, even though I still strongly feel the need to call out the emotional and structural damage wrought by polygamy, particularly against women and children, I am every bit as tired as you are of watching the same toxic patterns play themselves out season after season with impunity. No matter how hurtful or destructive Cody and Robyn's actions become, there always seems to be no real consequences. As for TLC, they appear completely disconnected from the true harm being done, still perpetuating a narrative that denies the emotional weight borne by these women. Recently, I have been informed of an interview between Suki and Sarah Fraser. I have not seen it myself, but reportedly Suki was standing up for Cody and Robyn, averring that Cody was a good dad and Robyn a nice woman. To be frank, I am not opposed to Sarah Fraser. I find her lovely, in fact, but the setup of this defense only frustrates me more. We're addressing different crowds, and we work in drastically different ways. So this isn't about Sarah herself. This is about what Suki does when conducting these interviews. When you are under contract with TLC, it stands to reason that they're going to follow the network's expectations. No one is going to risk losing their gig by outrightly criticizing Robyn or Cody. And so we never get the full picture. What we hear is a weighted-out version for the sake of keeping the brand intact. Whereas Suki has sometimes confronted Cody, her overall function still appears to be primarily committed to defending him and advancing a narrative of healing, even when encouragement of that sort is deeply harmful. It is unnerving to see her beg these women to reconcile with individuals who have already caused so much emotional harm, as if the very show itself is complicit in enabling and making that abuse seem normal. And I know I am not alone in feeling that way. More and more viewers are now demanding that the show be shut down, pointing to its total lack of accountability. It is a lost opportunity, because Sister Wives could be such a powerful vehicle for showing the actual costs of polygamy, the bruises, the gaslighting, and the glaring power inequalities. Instead, what we're given is a watered-down version of the reality, packaged as drama that prioritizes sensationalism over truth. What's happening on Sister Wives is just one highly visible example of a much deeper and broader issue. And yet, TLC continues to frame it all as entertainment, rather than addressing it as the serious issue it truly is. Imagine how much difference the show could make if it did choose to concentrate instead on the real harm that polygamy causes, and on the journey of women healing from or escaping it. But clearly, that is not the kind of show that TLC wishes to produce. They've portrayed polygamy as a quirky, unconventional lifestyle for years, rather than embracing it for what it so often turns out to be, a damaging system. That is where the danger lies. Now, back to Meri and Robyn. Their collapse has been fraught with emotion and complication. One of my readers, Ellen, a member of the OB community, reminded me of something important. Women there are conditioned to carry men's emotional burden. If a man is agitated, the woman must console him, and if she fails to do so, she would be cold, or even loose. That understanding illuminates moments like when Cody told Meri he was grieving their loss of a marriage, and Meri said, "You don't get to put that on me, that is yours." Cody's reply, "Yes, I do," wasn't so much an objection, it was indoctrination speaking. He sincerely thinks Meri is the owner of his emotions and duty, bound to carry that load, And this is just one example of what makes this tell-all so frustrating. We're already 3 episodes in, yet the discussion has barely scratched beyond the surface of the season's earliest episodes. We've received almost no meaningful coverage of Christine's wedding, very limited insight into Janelle's journey, and only fragments of Mary's new chapter. Mary admitted herself that when she recorded the tell-all, she had not even watched the entire episodes that already aired. She did not know that Cody spoke ill about her friend Jen. And she also did not hear his remark that no one would even date her if her friends were considered negative influences. None of these things were said to her during the filming. So the question is, why is TLC withholding these pivotal moments? Out of an entire 25-episode season, the tell-all has barely touched on any of the significant developments. What we've seen so far amounts to snippets, vague mentions of Mary leaving, a passing comment about her spiritual release from Cody, and a quick reference to Coyote Pass. Other than that, there has been no depth, no closure, and no true resolution. And we sit here watching a beautifully edited story that seems to be designed to defend Cody and Robyn at the cost of downplaying the emotional toll suffered by everyone else. This isn't reality. It is the version TLC wants us to swallow, which is why I'd love to hear your opinions. Are you still watching Sister Wives? Or are you, like me, fed up with the same old tired storylines, where the real issues are still being ignored? Something is not quite right with this tell-all, and I just can't help but say something. So much has happened this season, but the tell-all only seems to be fixated on an astonishingly small piece of the narrative, completely glossing over gigantic events which had no bearing on Cody and the overall dynamic of the wives. And that brings us to a very pertinent question. How can a traditional tell-all even possibly exist, when each wife's story has now branched out into its own individual path? There is little to focus on in the way of drama if Cody is simply being interviewed about supporting his dad, helping with baptisms, or participating in family game nights. But instead of revealing that reality, TLC appears determined to weave together so much shared tension between all 4 of them that some kind of central conflict seems plausible. In so doing, they overlook the pivotal moments when the wives are living their own, full independent lives apart from that tired, tangled system. What this yields is an unspoken disconnect. Sister Wives keeps attempting to convince us that they're all still one big family, when the reality is that the bonds have frayed and the emotional glue long dissolved. Which brings us to the real hub of the problem, Mary's breaking point with Robyn. In one of the most telling moments, Mary makes it plain as day that she is finished. When Robyn informs her that she'll be sad to have Mary leave, Mary responds with a melodramatic lucidity. That is your feeling to carry, not mine. Mary had the burden of guilt weighing on her for years, but this is the moment she shows her refusing to shoulder someone else's emotions. For years, Mary blamed herself for what was wrong, tried to fix what was broken, and carried an emotional load that never truly belonged to her. But now she is beginning to realize the importance of setting that weight down and letting it stay in the past. This moment didn't come easily. Mary has bemoaned her misery for years, complaining of feeling isolated, especially after her child graduated, and she was left to her own accord as an empty nester. While the other wives were still occupied with childcare and dealing with their own family dynamics, Mary was lonely and isolated. Instead of offering reassurance, Robyn dumped her with guilt. She made Mary feel that hoping for more for herself, such as returning to school and finishing school, was a betrayal of the family. Robyn continued to assert that leaving the tight-knit church community might divert Mary. That was not encouragement, that was manipulation disguised as kindness. To this day, we don't even know if Mary ever pursued that dream, because TLC never allowed her story to happen. Was it left, dismissed, or politely closed? What we do know is that Robyn continually manipulated Mary's loyalty, confirming that she owed the family more than herself. Mary had to soak up all the other people's emotions and starve her own. And then she finally drew a line. Robyn invented crocodile tears, trying to pull her back one more time. But this time, Mary held firm. What makes it all the more chilling is how the tell-all host, Suki, decided to present Mary's calmness in that situation. In labeling her attitude as cold, instead of identifying it as strength and clarity. The connotation of the term cold is a huge burden, and let's deconstruct what exactly it implies in this case. When a woman finally stands up to herself, establishes boundaries, and says no to being abused, she is often called cold, when in reality this isn't coldness at all. It is long overdue growth, healing, and change. In describing Mary's strength as emotional detachment, the narrative does nothing but perpetuate the toxic expectations put upon women in situations like this one, where they are conditioned to be agreeable at all costs, to smile, to keep sweet, and to remain quiet rather than standing up for right. Speaking up is punished, and yet Robyn was never once held accountable for how she treated Mary. Not by Suki, not by TLC, and not at any of the tell-alls. Instead, the judge is unjustifiably placed upon Mary, whose decisions and boundaries are questioned, and second-guessed as if in error. Perhaps the most revealing was the moment in Mary's interview with Tamron Hall, when she uncovered a truth that the show itself has avoided. Tamron spoke of feeling an immediate tension on the set, not between Mary and Christine, or Mary and Janelle, but between Mary and Robyn. She observed Robyn guiding the conversation, dictating what one could or could not say, and even cues Cody's answers as he waited for her instructions. Mary herself appeared to be conditioned to comply with Robyn's wishes, and when Tamron called this unsettling dynamic to her attention, Mary did not deny it but only said, "That would be accurate." That bland yet powerful concession reveals a lot, hinting at an even deeper level of manipulation and control that the tell-all has purposely steered clear of investigating. Perhaps someday Mary will choose to open up fully about what really happened, how Robyn treated her and how the divorce unfolded behind closed doors. But for now, we're left with only fragments and glimpses. The larger question, however, remains, why isn't anyone addressing this directly? Why does the tell-all consistently gloss over these harsh realities, offering only shallow attempts at reconciliation and vague, ambiguous drama? And how much longer will TLC continue shielding Robyn and Cody from real accountability? For those of us who've been watching, it is hard not to question whether more is going on behind the scenes than we're being privy to, which is precisely why this topic is so important. I'd love to know what you have to say in the comments. Do you agree with Mary's courage, Robyn's sneaking, and this show's bizarre turn? Even Mary herself said something about her mindset at the tell-all, sharing that she was being nice to Cody, initially because he had been extremely kind to her. He had started buttering her up, speaking sweetly, and even went so far as to call her out of the blue 2 weeks before the tell-all aired to say he missed her. But to long-time viewers, the motive was evident: manipulation. Cody knew exactly what he was doing. It wasn't a genuine attempt to get back together. It was a deliberate act of love bombing, meant to make her speak positively about him on camera. Mary later admitted that if she had known at the time what Cody was really saying in private, she would not have treated him quite so nicely. She felt manipulated, and in fact, she was. Cody's wishing to have her around had nothing to do with reconciliation. It was convenience, either to fuel Coyote past gossip, or simply to protect his image on television. Either, really. It was manipulative and calculating, an extension of the same emotional posing he has done for years. The wisest thing Mary can now do is to establish firm boundaries, cut off contact, and keep her peace. She doesn't need advice from Suki or anyone else who keeps making excuses for what Cody and Robyn are doing. And we, the audience, must listen when these women tell us the truth, because the acts they describe, gaslighting, manipulation, shaming, degrading, put-downs, emotional manipulation, and even financial control, are not mistakes. If Christine, Janelle, and Mary are all talking about the same types of abuse, then the conclusion is easy. The problem is Cody and Robyn, not the women. So why do the abusers still get the benefit of the doubt? Why does responsibility get avoided? Why do Cody and Robyn get to write the story and the women get to pick up the pieces? When three women tell the same tale, it is not conjecture anymore. It is witness. And it is long, long overdue to stop doubting the victims and start demanding real accountability from the people who inflicted the harm. I'd love to get your thoughts on this in the comments. Do you believe Cody's actions in the week leading up to the tell-all was just another manipulative move? And do you think Mary ever will fully reveal what actually happened behind the scenes? Let me hear your thoughts, so be sure to let me know in the comments below. I read them all. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you never miss a post. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.